You are most welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to your power behind the voice on Tuesday Night Anatomy with Daniel Okwan. Yes, we are still in the era of anatomy of clinical importance. And my friends, this is today's case study. A 68-year-old African American man presents to his urologist with complaint of difficulty in urination, weak stream during micturition, nocturia, sperm in the blood in the semen during ejaculation, and of course sometimes blood in the urine. He also indicated to his urologist that recently he's been experiencing some kind of pain in his bones, the vertebrae, and of course the pelvic bones, saying that sometimes there's difficulty in walking. And he also indicated that nowadays he's been coughing. Yes, uncontrollably. He's been taking some cough mixtures and syrups, but still it has not improved. Now, based on the signs and symptoms of the patient, the urologist decided to do a digital rectal examination, and the findings were that the prostate gland had enlarged, and there was also some kind of irregular nodular appearance, of the posterior aspect of the prostate gland. That was what was observed. Now, the urologist also asked the patient to do what we call the prostate specific antigen test, and the result was that he had a value of about 1,500 nanogram per mil of what we call the PSA antigen. Yes, there were additional scans like the abdominal pelvic ultrasound scan was done together with some x-rays and of course some imaging like MRI. Those things were done. Okay, so this is the case study that we have before us, and we have some questions yes to go through these things. Now the first question is that the prostate gland, yes, importantly, what is the most likely cancer or malignancy that it's often affected? And my friends, your answer is adenocarcinoma of the prostate gland. Now, most cases, about 90% of the cases, that will be the sort of cancer that one would experience. And one thing we know about the prostate gland is that, yes, it is this kind of walnut or something I described as a donut, shape structure. Now, normally we expect that its mass should be around, just about 20 grams or so. But there are some individuals, for them, if there's that cancer or malignancy to the prostate gland, or if that kind of enlargement, it can enlarge to about 10 times the value. So some people may present with about 200 grams up to 300 grams or so of the prostate gland. Okay, so that is one thing that I need you to understand. That is the prostate gland. It's supposed to secrete, it contributes to, this part of the semen that comes out. Yeah, so we see it in all male individuals. Now, look at this one. Now, the next question for us is that, based on the clinical presentation that we're given, what are the risk factors that predisposes this particular patient to developing prostate cancer? And my friends, the first one is going to be, of course, the African American ancestry. Yes, that's one important thing that I want you to understand. So for instance, if you're an African, Asians too, they have that kind of risk factor. And for that matter, if you're a Ghanaian, you have that risk factor. Yes, of course, especially if you're a family member, if your brother, if your father has had it before, then your chances of getting it is also high. Because most of the cases, there's that kind of mutation in what we call BRCA, gene, 1 and of course 2. Okay, that kind of gene, there's that kind of mutation in most of these cases, especially for the individuals with African ancestry for us, and also the age of this patient. This individual is 60 years old. Now, one thing we've seen is that prostate cancer, yes, from age 50 upwards, okay, the tendency that one will get it is so high. And especially if you are if you are a black individual, then of course you should start early doing some of these screening tests, like the prostate antigen test, which you expect that the value should not exceed 4 nanogram per ml. Okay, so 0 to 4 nanogram per ml. Okay, but if you look at this patient case, was 1,500 nanogram per ml. It means that it had really, yes, the cancer cells have multiplied uncontrollably and they were making the product, that is the prostate specific antigen. Now the next question for us is that why was this patient experiencing, yes, the signs and symptoms that he indicated to his urologist? Yes, first and foremost, difficulty in urination. The reason is that we have what we call the urethra. Urethra, yes, will take the urine from, of course, the urinary bladder and sends it to the external environment. One thing that we understand is that the initial portion of the urethra in males is called the prostatic urethra. Why? Because as it runs over there, yes, it is surrounded by the prostate gland. And so whenever the prostate gland becomes so much enlarged, okay, it may compress this urethra, so that there will be difficulty in urination. Yes, of course. Also, we also talked about having that kind of weak stream during micturition, so that yes, you urinate and then it comes like that kind of dribbling, okay, so that it doesn't go so sharply, okay, it just comes, yes, a dribble, so to speak. That is the weak stream. And then of course, especially nocturia, yes, waking up at night to urinate, especially because at night, because rest and digest, okay, parasympathetic will be in control. What will happen is that, yes, every now and then, a lot of the secretions by way of urination, yes, you'll be urinating here and there. And that is why this patient will be experiencing it, especially at night. But don't forget that also when this patient also ejaculates, there will be some kind of blood in there, okay? Because, of course, at the end of the day, the ejaculatory ducts, yes, they are all opening into what we call this prostate gland over there. So if there's an issue over there, yes, there may be that kind of indication which we experience it. And of course some blood in, of course, the urine. Okay, so these are the things which, yes, most likely this patient present with. And one important thing, the patient having issue with, of course, the vertebrae at the lower portion, and then of course the pelvic, and sometimes having difficulty in in walking, and also coughing. It therefore tells me that the cancer might have moved from its original location to the bones, okay, so from the prostate gland to the bones to the lungs. And so we indicate that this time around there has been what we call metastasis. Okay, what will happen? The cancer has moved from the primary site to additional sites. They become the secondary sites. Okay, that is one thing that I need you to, of course, understand. That's why the patient is experiencing some of these symptoms. Now the next question is that based on these things, okay, now because the cancer has spread, what will be the management? Yes, the only thing is that we need to deprive. Yes, if it had not spread that much, there could be that kind of prostatectomy. But once it has spread, then one thing is that we need to deprive, because one thing is that we know that the primary cells, okay, the source of the cancer is the prostate gland. It's a male gland, and every male structure, male structure, reproductive structure, will thrive on testosterone. In other words, the cells will proliferate, okay, and make all their products under the courtesy of testosterone. And that is why there will be the need to deprive these cells of testosterone. So an androgen deprivation, okay, medication will have to be given, so that we deprive, okay, the cells of the prostate gland from proliferating uncontrollably and going to cause more devastation. But my friends, one other thing that can be done, of course, which of course this clinician also, yes, put forward to the patient, will be something that we call bilateral orchidectomy, removal of the testes. Because once you remove the testes, then we know that the main source of testosterone, yes, will be coming from, of course, the lady cells of the testes, and therefore, yes, we don't produce a lot of the testosterone again. But one thing is that we know that the adrenal cortex, yes, may also make some kind of adrenal androgens. Okay, the zona reticularis may make some kind of androgen, adrenal androgens, but that will not be enough. Okay, it will, drastically bring to the barest minimum, the proliferation of the cancerous cells. Okay, so these are the important things which I will need you to become aware of. Now, the reason why oftentimes age becomes an issue over here is the fact that yes, during some of these replication processes, okay, every now and then, yes, a lot of replications are taking place in us, okay, and for that matter, what is happening in the prostate gland, there may be errors. Okay, so all these errors will accumulate, the cumulative effect at the end of the day. So with time, the errors will become so much and they will manifest themselves in some of these, cancerous conditions. Now, the next question is that why is it that now the doctor indicated to this patient that yes, the cancer possibly happened long ago, but it was based on the symptoms. That's why this individual rushed to, of course, to see the urologist. So why is it so that the initial stage of the cancer, it wasn't evident by way of signs and symptoms? Yes, the point is that whenever one gets prostate cancer, most of the time it occurs in what we call the peripheral zone of the prostate gland. So the peripheral zone is like the outer zone, so to speak, and the urethra is more inside. So the portion of the prostate gland that is so close to, of course, the urethra is called the transition zone. And one thing is that transition zone, oftentimes when there is benign prostatic hyperplasia, benign, and that is not malignant, it's not that dangerous. That one you tend to see the urinary symptoms quite early. But in the case of what we call the malignant condition, in the case of prostate cancer, what will happen is that the cancer will move from the peripheral zone towards the transitional zone. And so by the time it gets to the transitional zone, the cancer might have caused a lot of devastation. And that is why it's important that males, okay, frequently will do, once you get to, of course, age 50, yes, if your risk is so high, you can even start earlier. Once you get to some of these ages, frequently you check your prostate health to see, especially you do the prostate specific antigen testing. My friends, I believe you find this meeting helpful. I'm very grateful for your time this evening. Have a good night, all of you, and may the good Lord richly bless you. Amen.